Hey, this is Rachel Bowen from Skid Row, and you're listening to Sonic Perspective.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another interview of Sonic Perspectives. I'm Rodrigo, and today I'm talking to the bass player of Skid Row, Mr. Rachel Bolan. Rachel, how are you today, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm here in Toronto, hence the coat, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's cold up there.
It's still cold. It's still cold. Spring, just, in the calendar, but weather-wise, it's still not that great. But
yeah, I'm calling from Las Vegas. It is not cold here.
There you go. Well, great to talk to you at such a happy moment for the band. I mean, the residency in Las Vegas with the Scorpions has just started. How did the first shows go?
They went great. They went so well. I wish we had more shows in the schedule because it's pretty. There's a lot of space in between the shows, but they went so well that we just want to get back at it and do it every night if we could.
Awesome. And I saw a few videos, and it seems that Erik, the new singer, fit in like a glove. I mean, how did you guys end up selecting him?
He did. Everything fell into place seamlessly. We met Erik years ago. I think like in 2019, we had toured together. He was in a band, Heat, out of Sweden, and they were opening for Skid Row. And we just we heard him sing from the dressing room, and just kept a mental note of maybe a side project or something in our downtime. And as things went around, we saw him demo record 18 in Life on his YouTube channel, and he did a fantastic job. And just things happened within the band that we found ourselves needing a singer, and our first call was Erik, and everything just worked out and fell into place so perfectly that it's still kind of unbelievable.
Well, I saw him do Dreams by Van Halen and a few other covers on YouTube. He's incredible. He seems genuinely happy to be with the band too, right?
He is, and we're happy that he's in the band, and just the way everything happened so quickly. I'm calling from the studio. That's why here you see bottles of cleaning solution in the background. I'm in a storeroom that doesn't have any noise in it. So we're at the studio today, and he's putting the final touches on the vocals for the new album. So by the end of today, the album will be done being recorded.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and we're very, very excited.
Awesome. Was the whole album written with him in mind, or with him participating, or is he like replacing the vocals?
He replaced a lot of the vocals. There were guide vocals there, and we just sent them stuff. He recorded remotely in Sweden, and we've obviously never done anything like this before, but we kept on Zoom just like this, and he's like, what about this part? What about this? And Snake and I would give our feedback, and then he'd send it to Nick Raskulinix, our producer, and Nick would say, here, change this, do this, do this. And it all just worked out, and he got it done really quickly. And, like I said, everything has been seamless. Just the whole transition has been seamless. And the album, like I said, will be done today.
Good to hear. And, the album has already been announced, and the title track has been revealed, The Gang's All Here. What can you tell me about the music direction?
It's just like Gang's All Here. A lot of people that have heard every song have said that this album kind of bridges the gap between our debut and Slave to the Grind, that it reminds them why they love Skid Row in the first place. And that's what Erik said when we first sent them some stuff to sing on. He goes, these songs are what made me fall in love with the band, and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And that's the way the whole album is the general vibe of the album is. Some songs are heavier, some songs are more like, sleazy or whatever that we did. And, but it really encompasses what Skid Row is all about.
Yeah, and looking at the albums that Nick produced, I think it's fair to say he's great at capturing the essence of the bands he works with. I did catch a vibe of the new track that reminded me of the debut album of Skid Row. Am I right in saying that, or?
Absolutely. He really is responsible for bringing us back to our roots, you know, because being within the band and you know, there was a lot of life experiences between that first album and now. And I mean, you know, we were 22 and 23 when we recorded the first record, and now, you know, we're in our late 50s. So there's a lot of different perspectives in there. Nick brought us back to the way we used to think and the way we would approach songs. And it was such a great experience to be able to do that, because sometimes you get really far away from your roots, so far away that you don't even realize it. And he made sure we went back there and told us, he'd say many times, man, you got to be more Skid Row. It sounds like you're afraid to be Skid Row. So and that's what he did. He brought that out of us.
Yeah. And you worked with Michael Wagner and Bob Rock in the mid-90s. How would you compare Nick to these other producers, if you could?
Nick he's a creative force, as well as a producer. He does exactly what a producer is supposed to do: tell you what's good, tell you what's bad, try this part, try that. But his ideas that he throws at you, that you know, it made me feel like I'm a better bass player because of it. And the other guys say the same thing. The way he pushes you to do stuff, and just his ideas alone, his musical ideas for just the most minute little thing, like, here, hit the hi-hat here, but not that hard, and, you know, stuff like that. We've never worked with a guy like that before. And it made us, I think it made us better musicians.
Right. I saw a Rush documentary of one of their albums where he was challenging Neil Peart to change his drum parts. And I was like, man, if a guy can challenge Neil Peart to improve his drum parts, he can do anything, right? So there you go.
Absolutely, man. He has told stories. He's like, I'm not saying anything different to you guys that I didn't say to Rush. And we're all like, really? Okay, man, you got big ones, dude.
Awesome. And well, I like how the bass is loud in the mix on The Gangs Out Here. I mean, is it like that in every song of the album or not?
Well, yeah, I mean, the bass-driven songs, you know, and that's that's part of a you know, a production thing where producer knows what is driving the song, whether it's a guitar riff or a bass riff, and you know, it just works out. And you know, Nick is really keen to you know, what's supposed to be what.
Right. And well, is it going to be part of the United War Rebellion series, the new album? I mean, how does it relate to the other two?
It doesn't. We're just, this is something new, you know, that may be down the road somewhere, but this is something new. We're doing a full length album. And it's the first time we've done that in a long time, but this is just a new birth and a new era of Skid Row.
And speaking of, you know, the most recent tour, the previous tour that we did, you celebrated 30 years of Slave to the Grind and performed the album in full. What was it like to revisit that era of the band? I mean, that was the height of your exposure to MTV and everything, right?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We only did a few shows, a few choice markets, and it was fun because there's a lot of songs that we don't do in the set that we haven't done. I mean, I think there may have been a song that we never did at all, you know, but it was fun. It was fun to go through it and do it and see the reaction on people's faces. And just getting in a room and trying to remember the parts that we played was pretty funny.
I bet that was challenging for sure. Yeah,
without doubt.
And speaking of memories, I have a bootleg of you guys playing Donington in '92, opening for Iron Maiden. That must have been like the biggest show you've ever done, right?
It wasn't the biggest show we've ever done, but it was definitely something that I'll remember forever, just being like a Maiden fan, you know, and knowing that those guys were coming on a couple hours after us was pretty damn cool.
Yeah. You played, did you play Children of the Damned on that show? I don't think so. I don't remember, but you did used to play that song, right?
No, I think Snake used to mess around with it during sound check and whatnot, but no, we never actually played a whole Iron Maiden song.
Okay. And out of all the albums, I think Subhuman Race was one I thought I could have had a better luck. I think the industry was changing at that time with grunge coming up, and the band even broke up at that time. What can you tell us about that period of the band? Was it frustrating in a sense, or?
Well, it was kind of like the end was near. We knew it, and it just happened. And the album kind of showed it was a different producer, a different way of thinking, and it was a different musical climate, and just all those things, and things weren't good in the band. So all those things combined, it was lethal.
Yeah, I think I saw that tour actually in Rio. You guys opened for, it was you guys, Iron Maiden, Motorhead. But the crowd was ruthless to you. I think that was one of the last shows of Sebastian. Right?
After that, we all got off the airplane and went our separate ways.
Well, I was sad because I wanted to hear you guys play, but the crowd wouldn't let you. But
it was bad, and it's not. I had mentioned that before we even left. I was like, "We're gonna get killed on this. We're gonna get killed on this bill," and we did.
Yeah. Well, I think the Brazilian crowd is not that forgiving when it comes to mixing styles. Maybe that has changed through time, but back then certainly not.
I know. I knew it was a mistake before we even got on that plane.
Well, and I think hard rock had a rough time in the mid-90s with the grunge, rising up, and it seemed to kind of implode overnight. But do you think grunge was to blame, or were some bands starting to sound too generic at the time? I mean, a lot of these bands spend a lot of time in the hairdressers and not too much in the rehearsal room.
Yeah, I mean, when a musical, like a genre, becomes just a point of sale, you know what I mean? That's kind of the beginning of the end for the genre, because they'll sign 1 million bands that kind of sound like a band, and then it just dilutes everything. So that's what was kind of happening when right around when grunge came out. And then when grunge came out, it was the next big thing, and then it happened to them too. You know what I mean? Yeah, every band that kind of resembled Nirvana got signed, and they were nowhere near as good as Nirvana. So it dilutes the market and eventually just poisons it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think same thing happened 10 years before with prog kind of losing to itself the whole game, and punk rising up, and new wave and so on. But that's how the industry works. I'm
glad we're still able to tour and make records, and now just get with Erik now in the band, so much positive attention on Skid Row for being around as long as we have, and coming out of the era and genre that we did. It's a pretty good feeling, man.
Yeah, well, it seems that he's fitting like a glove, and he's happy to be in the band. I guess that makes a difference too, right? The environment in the band is great.
Absolutely.
So far.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a glamorized view about tensions in the band resulting in great music, like Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen. I guess that's just a myth, right? At the end of the day.
Well, maybe. I mean, every situation is different, people are different in each band. I mean, there's similarities with situations, but everyone has it different,
Right.
So I can't speak for anyone other than us.
Got it. Yeah. I think it was Sammy Hagar who said that, there's this glamorized version, but when he and Eddie were butting heads, and he was horrible in the studio, they did that Balance album, but it didn't work out. But anyway, moving on. Yeah. And I think, changing the subject a little bit, I noticed you guys were selling a coffee called Slave to the Grind. Is that still available?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I think they're selling it at our show.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I saw someone walking around with a bag of it. So
cool. You're doing the Dirty Rocker soap as well, right? What does that entail?
It's just an idea I had for years, but was never able to pull the trigger on it. And it just came up. A friend of mine, she makes soap and sells it. And I was like, man, that's one thing that I have not seen any band or artist sell, and it's soap. And I was like, and so I had this idea, and I got the name, the trademarks on the names over time and whatever. And then COVID hit. So I was like, well, no better time than now. I don't have anything else to do, And it started, and I honestly thought it was going to last a few months, and people were going to get sick of it. But now, this April will make 2 years since the company started, and it has not shown any signs of slowing down. So
that's good to hear.
Got myself into something I didn't expect, but it's good. It's fun. It's another way to be creative, and another way to connect with people, creative people, whether they're fans of the band or not, just through, you know, the culture of soap, which I had no idea there was one, and you know, certain ingredients, and it's just cool, man. It's another way to be creative.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, I think you have to diversify, and music is only a part of the equation, right?
Yeah, you know, there's some musicians that are artists, you know, like Rick Allen is a very talented painter, and Paul Stanley, you know, and other guys are writers, and you know, it doesn't have to stop at music, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a sign of the times that you have to be creative with the merch and almost personalize every experience with the fans, right? To be able to stay relevant.
Yeah, it seems like that.
And well, before we wrap things up, I was looking at the tour dates, and it seems you have a full agenda right up to October with a short break in August. And that's before the album release date. And then you're going to Europe. I saw that the dates were just announced a few days ago.
Yeah.
Quite a year you have ahead of you, right?
Yeah. And then we end the whole year in Australia, and come home right before Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, busy year, man. catching up for some lost time, and stuff is already starting to get booked for 2023. So it's going to be the future looks good for Skid Row.
Yeah. And I mean, how do you prepare for a tour like that? Do you have to change your diet and maybe like work out a little bit more, because it's a grueling schedule, right?
You know, you try, it's preventive maintenance, you know, you try to take care of yourself, not hit it too hard, because, you know, some of us like to drink. And so, and you know, we just try to, you try to get ahead of it. You know, the older you get, you know, what 2 shots in a beer wouldn't even affect you waking up the next morning, and now it's like, oh, you're hungover for 2 days, you know. So you just try to stay ahead of it. And you know, we're all pretty health conscious for the most part. We like to you know, we're not just gonna go through a drive-through window and stuff our face with greasy burgers. You know, try to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Rachel, thank you so much, man. I look forward to hearing the new album. All the best with the tour, the new singer, and I guess I'll see you on the road sometime.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Thank you, man. Have a good one. Cheers.
All right. You as well. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.